What's up, guys? Jonathan Beasley back, 757 Building Company. And today we're talking about onboarding process. So what's that all about? Rachel and I get a lot of inquiries with people, and if you're here watching this YouTube video, chances are you've been dreaming about building a custom home, or perhaps even designing a custom Barndominium from the ground up. And so there's only a few of us, and there's a lot of people that are very interested in the process and what it looks like, and can you help me find a piece of property, and can you build a home? And the answer to all that is yes, but we're finding that it's becoming more and more important to distinguish who's interested versus who's committed, because there's only a couple of us and there are a lot of people interested in this process. So today we're talking about what are the next steps and what it looks like to onboard. So we created an onboarding process to help us focus our time, energy, and resources on the people that are really, really serious about pushing the project forward. And that's not a knock on anybody who's not ready. We're happy to help those people get the resources that they need to begin to make those decisions. But the onboarding process is for people who are really serious and like, hey, we're ready to build and get this process started. Well, what we've learned is that if you've ever seen the movie Yes Man, where he just goes around, Jim Carrey is just like this lunatic that says yes to everything and he had this big epiphany in life. It's a great concept for a movie. Doesn't really work in the real world, because if you say yes to everything, then you have no time for the things that are most important. So building is an 8 to 12 month process. It's a relationship between a builder and a client. And so we want to give you 100% focus and be all in on those folks who have spent their hard-earned money and went out and got loans and spent the time to onboard and do the entire process. We want to give you everything that we have. And so that's why the distinction for onboarded versus people who are still sort of kicking tires and interested. I have some notes that I'm going to refer to just because I want to be really thorough. There's a lot of action items in the onboarding process, but step one, how much does it cost? $2,500 is our standard onboard package. And that's for folks who already have land under contract, or know exactly where they want to build. It could also be on a parcel that we own. We currently are holding like 20 something lots, ranging from as small as 1 acre. We actually, our biggest lot in our portfolio, I think, is 30 acres. So it could also be on a piece of property that we already own. So the first step, after you've paid the onboarding fee, we're gonna identify the model, the actual home model itself that fits your budget and your vision. My hope is that 3 years from now, we bump into each other on the street and you're like, hey, Jonathan, dude, the house that you built's amazing. We just had the most amazing 3 years living in a home that we've ever had in our family. That's truly my hope and my vision for you guys that connect with us as a building company. So for instance, yesterday we met with an older couple, older relatively speaking. They were in their late 60s, have grandkids, the whole thing. They're actually parents of a good friend of mine. And we identified that they need 2,500 square feet. They need a primary suite on the first floor. They need 2 to 3 secondary bedrooms for their grandkids. None of their kids live with them anymore. They need an office area, and then they want their living room, dining room, and kitchen to be open floor concept, and then they need a screened-in porch. They love to host people, so they want to be, if they're having people over for, let's say, Sunday football, they want people to be able to watch TV while grandma's cooking dinner and the grandkids are playing in the living room, and everybody can be in one area. So we're going to establish the model. We're going to work on getting it priced out, and then the next thing is going to be assigning the land. Now, if you don't have land, we can help you find land. If you do have land, we're going to do some feasibility. I'm going to personally make a site visit, or my field manager will make a site visit to check out the topography, figure out where we want to lay out the house, to see what type of clearing might need to be done. Is there utilities readily available? So all of that sort of like land feasibility portion is part of the onboarding process as well. Now, if you're picking a house that is straight off our website or a model that we regularly build, that's an easy win. If you need to make revisions, we're going to connect you with our architect to make any plan revisions that are necessary to make sure that the space fits your needs. Or if you're just like, hey, we have the budget, we need something that's a totally unique creature, total custom, we will start from scratch with our architect. Matter of fact, our architect would probably be at the first vision meeting so that we could begin design from the ground up. That's a little pricier, but if it's in the budget and you know that you have really, really specific needs that we need to tailor to, that's also an option. The fourth thing is going to be interior and exterior selection. So this is super helpful because we want to know every part of the house that you want in terms of design. So this is where things like Pinterest come in really handy. You'll meet with one of our designers on our design team. You'll come into our showroom and make all of your selections. This also is super helpful in the pricing out phase of the home because, cabinets or granite or tile in the primary ensuite, those things can range huge. There's huge price variance depending on what you select and how fancy you want to get. I say go nuts, but there's also usually a budget in mind, so go nuts relative to your budget is what I would say. But we're gonna make all of your interior and exterior selections such that my design team can pass that over to my bookkeeper, my finance manager, and my field manager so that we can actually price the home specific to the things, the design and the selections that you've made. From there, we're gonna go over any upgrade pricing. Some people want a hot tub, some people like a movie theater room. We have one client that wanted a panic room. So the world is your oyster. People ask me all the time, can you do this? The answer is virtually almost always yes. It's just depends on what your budget is. So all things are doable, but not necessarily all things are doable in your budget. So keep that in mind. We're also going to gather quotes for permitting and for utilities. So we build on a lot of bigger parcels. So very often we're getting quotes for things like an engineered septic system or a deep well versus a shallow well, with the goal being that we understand all of the costs associated with putting the house where you want and making sure that the utilities are effectively able to be connected to the home. Next, we're going to be gathering quotes for any clearing and your driveway. Again, we have one client right now that's building on 10 acres and they wanted their house set off the road like, I think it was like 700 feet. So obviously 700 feet of concrete is not cheap. So that's not a curveball that you want to find out later when we go to start building your home, like, oh yeah, here's a $20,000 overage for your driveway. The goal of the onboarding process is to take as many of the variables out of the equation so that we can give you a turnkey price so that when we go to build, all of the parameters are established as closely as humanly possible. So the onboarding process really is about giving you the peace of mind that we have factored in every part of the build and the land so that you know exactly what this is going to cost to the best of our knowledge. And with that, we go into the last portion, which is the turnkey proposal to build. So I know 2,500 bucks can seem like a chunk of change. The way I look at it is this, if you're going to build an $800,000 house, 2,500 bucks is a fairly small investment to establish what home you want, how you want it to sit on the lot, what all the interior and exterior design features look like, what the cost parameters are for utilities. And even if you don't end up building with us, this is all information that you could take to another builder and you have infinitely more knowledge and information than you would have before you started the process. When we start onboarding you and your family, our team goes to work for you and we're all in on you. Hence the distinction between spending a lot of times with the clients that are interested versus those who are really committed. Those clients who meet us in the middle and like, we're in, we're ready to do this, we're all in on you. We're not some big tract builder that has 500 homes that we're building that are cookie cutter stacked on top of each other. I could name a few builders, but I won't. But they rhyme with Shrine Homes. There's a lot of those guys out there. That's not us. We are custom. Our freaking mission statement is building lasting relationships and crafting forever homes. We feel an immense passion about making sure that the people that we're working with are building not just a home, but a family legacy, one story at a time. So that is our onboarding process in a nutshell. We love what we do because we love to help people create family legacies for a lifetime, right? Because that's something that lasts. And I always say that legacies last longer than 2x4s. So we're here to help you build something that lasts. With that said, that's the onboarding process in a nutshell. I'm Jonathan Beasley, 757 Building Company, AKA Hampton Roads Barndos, where we're out to build lasting relationships and craft forever homes. Let's build something that lasts.